Hello and welcome back to the Brighter Podcast. My name is Chelsea.
My name's Batsheva.
And my life is so much brighter thanks to Batsheva.
And my life is infinitely brighter thanks to Chelsea.
We love to come on here and share stories, tools, techniques, our own life hurdles and challenges and triumphs in hopes that our experiences and sharing will help to make your life, your journey, your path brighter. And we have a special topic today, per usual. But before we dive into that, let's all arrive in the space together. If you're somewhere where you can close down the eyes or soften your gaze, I invite you to do that. Otherwise, you can just breathe along with us. So we'll go ahead and let all the air out. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Take another deep breath in through the nose. Exhaling, let anything that's ready to go, go. And one more deep breath in through the nose. And exhale out the mouth. Welcome! Yay! Today we are talking about dreaming. What size are your dreams, Batsheva?
Well, I don't know if I was going to say unfortunately, but maybe that's unfair. Fortunately or unfortunately, my dreams tend to run on the large scale size. And I don't necessarily think that that is what I would choose for myself. If I had to choose, I might say, oh, wouldn't it be better for me to just keep the dreams small and therefore um, not experience like these plummeting valleys of sadness and disappointment when dreams slash hopes slash expectations don't get met, or at least on my timeline, or, you know, even once the dreams are achieved and then like reality hits. I think I tend to have some pretty big ups and downs. But I am me, and I seem to just be built that way, at least so far, where I do get pretty exuberant about ideas and thoughts and plans and visions for myself. So, I mean, then again, compared to someone, I don't know, like on a Jeff Bezos scale or Elon Musk or someone who might, I don't know them, maybe they don't dream, maybe they just do, but like I don't dream of world domination. And I don't even dream of like changing the whole world, but I do dream of like being the best version of myself and what could that look like and how could that affect change and influence and inspire others. So, what about you?
Oh, well, I feel like there's a lot to unpack there with what you just said before I dive into mine. One, I will say that the fact that you love to dream big and that we can have these incredible, magical conversations that are expansive is a huge highlight for me. I find myself almost really turned off by people that can't dream big. And I think that I would have even been like ashamed and embarrassed to even share that. Like, oh gosh, I'm a terrible person for just being uninterested in people that can't dream big. But I'm learning to embrace all parts of myself. And so I'm going to share that openly. That I can remember thinking about a friend who wanted to date me. And as I was explaining to him, we would never work out because you don't like to try different restaurants. You don't even want to try other things. Like you're not interested in exploring. And that to me is like what the dream is. It's like a big exploration. It's like, oh, I'm willing to go on this journey of the unknown and to think about what it may or may not look like and to fantasize about it or whatever the next thing is. So that's exciting to me. And I love dreaming. that's not to say that there isn't a point where I am like at the capacity of feeling that I am worthy to dream what I'm dreaming, or that it's actually feasible or could happen. I feel like there is like a ceiling for my dreaming of, okay, do I like there's like a protective mechanism that can come in that can say, "Oh, do I really want that? What do I have to give up? What would I be giving up if I get that?" Because of all the my own stories and conditioning, which I feel like that could be some people, a lot of people probably.
I appreciate that, but that's so relatable because I also relate to that. Like, I will have this big dream for myself, and sometimes I can maybe replace the words dream with ambition. Like I really have like a big uh accomplishment that I'm hoping to achieve someday. And then I can totally relate because literally just like yesterday, as I was listening to Lena Dunham's memoir about her journey being a young writer, director, actress on Girls, the hit TV show on HBO. I don't know what happened to me. I'm so inspired by her story actually, like through and through. But then like a day passed and I think I saw her short film online and I all of a sudden was like, I could never do that. Like who the fuck am I thinking that I am? Like my writing is so not Lena Dunham, my writing right, like starting to just be like basically chipping away at my self-worth internally is what happens. I do really, really relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually the whole like dreaming big or thinking about the future has been a homework assignment for several courses or groups or self development, different things that I have taken. And, whether it be, you're writing the speech at your 100th birthday, or 10 years from now, this is what your life looks like, write it out, or, whatever the prompt is. And it actually happened pretty recently. And I found myself that I was the biggest dreamer in the room. And everyone else was the more realistic or the more like grounded or whatever term you want to use. And
I think grounded on the one hand is very generous because I kind of remember you. What was your actual
well,
reaction
I
at the
was just
time?
gonna share it. I was actually just gonna share it. Though there was the first initial reaction that I was like, I don't know, I can't hang out with these people anymore. Like this is not I want to be up leveling. I want to be going to the next thing and I want someone that's walking that path, not someone that's like, "Oh, let's hang out here because this is safe." Like there's like the adventurous, the dangerous. Hunter, my husband and I, we always kind of say you're either dangerously careful or you're carefully dangerous. And so it's kind of like a funny thing like that we tease each other about whether we're being like too careful or too dangerous. But I like the rush. I think that maybe that's like the part of me that, well, there's like the magical thinking, but then there's also like the part that got a lot of rushes and adrenaline. And there's like the desire to have that again, to have that hit, just like hits of dopamine or anything. But I found myself like, yeah, annoyed, like, wow, like no one's really dream like, aren't we supposed to be like saying what we like, like if the genie is here and this is like what you say can happen, like this is what you say. Like that's what I take it as. And just like what they were saying, I was like, "Hmm." I mean, not that there was anything wrong with it if that's truly what they want, but a big part of me felt like that they just didn't feel either worthy of it or, also another part of me used to think kind of like in a monk or nun, uh, thought process, I guess, that I need to, is it renunciate? Give up everything like that. Oh, like having material things makes me less spiritual or having a lot of money or being successful. Like if I don't give it all away, then I'm not a good person. There was definitely a part of me that thought that. thought for a while. So,
That's really common. I hear a lot of people talk about that, and I think, um, it's not easy because it's easy to judge people who have a lot of money in the public eye because their behavior and greediness is often on full display, and, like, we wanna differentiate ourselves, you
right.
know,
Well,
so
I think that we had something came up recently, the discussion that you and I had about, being attached to it. Like, there's a difference between having it and, like, just, yes, being, charging your worth, accepting and receiving generous gifts and the abundance that is all around us. And also then being attached to it and forming your identity around it, or that you will lose yourself, if something is gone, if something disappears. And so I think that that is the difference of it, of just like, oh, is this money my entire world, or are all these material things, and like if they leave me, if I lose them, then am I nothing? Or am I willing to sacrifice my morals, my values to keep them? Like, where's that? But also, I think the thing that the new story, the new identity, which is hilarious because I just did a practice this morning on transforming your identity. um, And the new identity that I've decided is that the more money, the more successful that I am, that's more people that can be helped, more things I can give to that I care about, that I believe in, and more fun that can be had.
yes, I am on board with that 100%, and I love that you and I are both, working with, Kate Northrup. She's like a money influencer, teacher, guru woman who, um, really helped both, Chelsea and I lately put, like, more language around, like, where we're growing and where we're going towards, how we're growing and where we're going as far as, like, caring about our money and being intentional and having agency with it, and also not letting it just, like, do whatever and, like, kind of leave it up to the universe and surrender, but actually be more intentional and, um, because we want to have money, and money is energy, and we can do very positive things with that, so, that's one of the big dreams,
Well,
definitely,
I also
definitely.
think, like, that's an interesting way to look at, okay, so if we're gonna look at our money like that, why wouldn't we look at our life like that? Just like we talked about, like, it's not saying this is exactly what I want to happen in these steps and then grasping onto it. But it's saying, like, oh, this is kind of what I would like to achieve in my life, or these are some things that sound good now, and not just having it set in stone. Because if we're going to do these practices and this technique with our money, why not do it with our dreams, with our entire life?
And one thing I love about actually her and Barbara Stanny and a lot of the women who I have read and followed in the sort of money influencer sphere over the past few years is that they all equate it to your our lives and our nervous system. And basically, I'm reading her Money Love book right now, Kate. I was just reading a little bit more of it yesterday, and it was like the values exercise, which my beloved sister Daly had taken me through when she did her coaching method, with me right after my divorce, right after I finished working for those 8 years at the coffee shop. My whole life had just shifted, like, seismic shift, and it was I know you've done it, Chelsea, because you mentioned you've done the values exercise, I think, with Hunter, and with when Daly did that exercise with me, it was a revelation, just zeroing it and so Kate has the reader do it in her book too, and I was like, "Oh, I've done this before," but it was great to do it again, and in other words, like, it's all of one. It's not compartmentalized, and she was actually suggesting what we've talked about, I think, when our M word episode about manifestation, like, the idea of identifying the feeling that we want to have. So, again, almost like kind of trying to transpose a dream from, like, winning a lottery or, like, getting a movie made or being on stage or for you, like, hosting an enormous retreat and, like, having, so many students and the cacao going worldwide. Like, actually, instead of that, she recommends, like, identifying how we would feel when those things are occurring, and then, finding all the time resonance with that feeling, finding ways in our day-to-day life to amplify that feeling within us so that we can draw to ourselves similar experiences and people and opportunities to match that feeling within us. And that I kind of love that because, and again, whether it's from the values exercise that Daly gave me or Kate Northrup, or I mean, any one of these um, coaches and programs that are out there, they often offer this value exercise for good reason because it brings manifestation out of the doership, out of like the ego, like, I see this for myself, I'm going to make it happen. It's like, at what cost? As we mentioned, I think I mentioned maybe, I don't remember which episode, probably like every other one, that like I manifested this marriage and like, I don't regret it, but like, it didn't turn out to be a lifelong marriage, and I manifested other things in my life that then were, meant that my life became very overwhelming and difficult. So the question is, like, can we focus on manifesting that feeling that we want to replicate and build versus like the vision of what we think will bring us that feeling? And it's not always for me. I can't always separate them.
Wow, it's really interesting to hear all of that and then to think about what I had just said about the group and then like to go back to it and think, "Oh, you know what? They probably were all just talking about what they wanted to feel and that didn't have to translate into something gigantic because they were like, "Oh, I can feel this with less." Um, which is beautiful. And yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that, and one thing I think that was cool, though, when you told me about that night when you really, like, had this vision for your future and it was pretty fucking awesome, was that, and I wanted to actually mention this, in this episode, was that in that moment when you were speaking it aloud to witnesses, which is so powerful, you were in full alignment with your most inner feeling, your nervous system, you were in alignment with that vision versus I know in my own life, sometimes I've been asked to, like you said, like share a vision and share a 5-year plan or 10-year. And I've been like, oh, I'll be making $1 million a year. And it's like, my gut is like, from zero? Like, really? Like, you're going to do that in 1 year with no plan? Like, maybe they'll, like, something will happen, but also, like, should we pull back, And even Kate Northrup, if I think about it, when she had us dream big. Do you remember when she, during that course Chelsea and I just took recently, she did say, like, imagine the number you want for next year. Now, my initial number that I wrote down was something like 8 million or 80 million. It was like the big one. And then she was like, now make it realistic so that your whole body and nervous system can be in alignment with it. And I was like, let's pull that back to 250,000 or whatever. I think so. I think that I really relate to you because sometimes when I'm in that moment where everything feels aligned, and I do feel anything's possible, and that is powerful. It does magnetize, like, peak experiences and, like, it does magnetize opportunities, and at the same time, I love the reminder to bring it back to the feeling, the feeling, the feeling. What do we want, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I also think even like the roadmap, thinking about the final destination, if you will, of the big thing, the big peak, the I landed on the moon moment. But it's like, oh, what's the first like, let's like, a lot of courses and different exercises I've done, they have you, okay, now step back from each thing. Like what has to happen before you get to there, and then what before that, and what before that. And I feel like that really is not the block, but it's definitely a point of I'm not exactly sure. And it's also a point of a duality of I love it. I think it's fantastic and it breaks it down into like smaller steps and manageable steps, and then you get to celebrate like each of the little things. But I feel like that's also something that I bypass. Like, that I don't always celebrate the little things because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, I haven't gotten to the big thing yet." Like, these little things along the way. So, that kind of was like back and forth, which I feel like everything is. But yeah,
No, you and I just were speaking about like the how cool it is that you're in these groups lately and the different classes you're taking where everyone's being encouraged to really celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. And in my acting class, actually, every class before he starts in with the exercises and whatever, he asks people to share, what's happened lately. And someone got an audition or someone got, blah, 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 a little role. And then we celebrate that person. And I never really share. And um I think that I should because, like, fuck it, I don't need to wait till I'm, like, cast as the lead in Star Wars. Like,
right.
I could celebrate, like, something else that feels good.
Celebrating the small wins and like hyping yourself up even before you act in that class really can maybe bring out something extraordinary.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the idea of celebrating the small wins. I do think that you and I do that with our daily
We
W's, like,
do.
that's a huge gift, yeah,
We definitely do.
huge.
Which has
But,
been
like, on Go
I
ahead,
was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say that that has been life changing for me of recognizing and taking away the thought that, celebrating ourselves is vain or self-centered or, full of ourselves. Yeah, we need to be all of those things. I mean, maybe not vain, but we need to be taking care of ourselves and filling up, have our pitcher full so that we can fill other cups. We have to. We have to put our oxygen mask on first. It's all
Yes.
the things.
Yeah, with the daily W's, my experience is exactly the same, like, just doing it day in, day in, day in, day out, like, it has transformed me, and it helps me so much to be my own best supporter and hype girl and cheerleader, and I mean, it's not like I do that well and perfectly every day, but I do it 1,000 times better than I used to, and the results are, proof is in the pudding. It's pretty
Mhm. Yeah. And for those of you that don't know the Daily W yet, there is an episode on it. And also, it is called, what we share is three wins, which are three things that we're bragging about, three wows, which is three things that we're grateful for, and three wishes, which is three things that we desire. So
every
if
day,
you
and we
haven't
do it
caught,
to each other.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
haven't caught that episode, we highly recommend, like we said, life changing.
Life-changing. Life-changing. And, I wanted to bring in the other side of the dreaming equation, which is totally surrendering instead of dreaming, totally surrendering to what life brings you because as I've mentioned again in many episodes, I've been so influenced by Michael Singer and his Surrender Experiment book, and then, he has another book that I read a few times or I listened to the audio that's something I think it's called, like, Practicing the Art of Surrender, and he has a very famous book called The, Untethered Soul, and so this man, much like people like, let's say, Byron Katie, let's say, like, Eckhart Tolle, who have somehow, I don't know how, by the grace of their own karmic curriculum, literally seem to have succeeded to just surrender all willpower and desire to something higher, to the divine, and just are guided moment to moment by almost exclusively external forces. But I will say, even with Michael Singer, who's like the GOAT in my like just, you know, small experience of who I've read and what I've been exposed to. But I'm like, wow, I really admire him because he really is not a reflection of my own life where I do a lot of surrendering, thanks to the effort that I put into that. But I still dream big and do a lot of, I guess my own kind of ambition drives me to do certain things. But then again, when I read his book and, he talks about his own life story, he winds up being a billionaire, by the way, like, spoiler alert, he becomes a billionaire because he just fucking surrendered. He was a yogi in the woods meditating all day long, and life literally takes him on this journey and uplifts him from his comfortable yogi, cross-legged position and puts him in this opportunity, and all he does is, like, say yes, even when inside his mind is like, "Fuck this, I just wanna be a yogi in the woods," but, like, he ignores his chattery mind, and he just allows life to take him forward, forward, forward. So it is a really cool and inspiring book. But I will also say, and I don't know if I said this before, but I think I've said it to you, Chelsea, is that, like, at one pivotal moment in the book, he goes into a Radio Shack in the '80s when they just invented the personal computer, and he's like, "Wow, this is really cool. I'm really interested in it." He bought it and he took it back and he played with it endlessly and learned that he had an aptitude and an affinity for it. And because of that and that love of doing those programs and then just him saying yes to like helping other people and like, again, that led to the next set of miracles, let's say, of his surrendering life. But I do think in my own life, I can say, okay, well, I love writing, I love singing, I love, podcasting. I'm doing the things that I love that resonate with me. And therefore, I am putting myself in certain environments where if it's meant to be, if it's meant to get bigger, it can. And so, like for people who either just, like, dream so big and they don't know where to start or also feeling like it'll never happen for them, I feel like there is a happy medium that I'm at least always kind of trying to find and balance, which is that celebrating, like you said, celebrating where I'm at, that I'm doing things that are resonant with my values and my inner excitement, things that light me up, but, like, kind of stopping with the magical thinking part of it, because for me, that tends to lead to disappointment, as I said in the beginning, and instead, like, just reminding myself, "Okay, now I let it go, now I let it go. Do the thing and let it go, do the thing and let it go," so that, we can see where life takes each one of us.
Yeah. I was just thinking about there was a quote that one of my teachers had shared about kind of the roller coaster, if you will, of the highs and the lows from the external validation or the external achievements. And I thought maybe it would come to me, but it's not. But I appreciate the offering up. And I've actually gotten to experience a little bit of that um, hosting these calls for my class that have nothing to do with me. I'm literally just have the Zoom account. And so I haven't placed my worth on how many people show up because it's not me advertising or it's not something of mine. I'm just simply being the channel. And I feel like that's really helped me as far as the external dreaming or just acknowledging that that isn't something that determines. And I think that Kate even mentioned it after this most recent enrollment opened that they didn't look at the numbers for the first time ever, like throughout the day of enrollment, the last day of enrollment. They weren't checking the numbers. They were just showing up as themselves in their fullness, giving all that they had to give. And then, they looked at them the next day or whatever.
For context, I think what, Chelsea is relating these experiences to is the Zooms that she hosts when she's leading the actual Zoom calls for her, online, like, new moon experiences through soulscription.life, which I just have to give you a plug because I did the last one and it was fucking life transformational. And I fucking want to do the next one. And I really hope I'm available. So I'll just say that. But in other words, she sometimes when she has the retreats or in-person things, like she'll understandably like kind of like feel some feelings about like how many people sign up or show up kind of a thing, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, I think that everyone kind of experiences that, you play in a sport, who's
Totally.
coming to watch you? Or you
Totally. Or
have
in
a
play,
show
you're
and how
yeah,
many people
yeah,
are there, and
yeah.
in the moment, we can forget that, oh, everyone else has their own life, their own things going on. There's lots of, reasoning. Maybe it's not because they don't want to be there, not because you don't have something valuable to offer or, whatever it is. But also you can kind of spiral into that and be attached to that and then base, oh, I must not be meant to do this, or now I'm not achieving what I set out to do, my big dream isn't coming true because there aren't hundreds of thousands of people there. um yeah, which I kind of think goes back to, do we dream of what we think we're worth, in order. And that's kind of what I was saying in the beginning about the protective mechanism. Like, one of my protective mechanisms has been to not advertise super far in advance because then if well, 1, I don't really schedule a lot of things super far in advance, but 2, if I know that there's a part of me that feels if I schedule it really far in advance and I advertise for it and then people don't show up, then it will be because I'm not worth it or because I'm not worthy of their time or because they don't think I have anything valuable to share, and oh, the little me inside is just like, "We can't
Mm.
feel that. No, I don't wanna feel that." And so, yeah, as a form of protection, I think that that is, like, holding back from getting to the next thing in a sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, and I really hope you're gonna start sharing your stuff earlier, because like, I myself even thought about the other day, I'm like, "When is that next thing?" Like, I literally already wanna look at my calendar and see if it'll work, so
Well, it's this
I hope you
Saturday.
will.
Or,
Oh
well,
my
I
god,
mean,
girl!
I'm gonna send out the email today, but
Okay,
this
okay, alright.
episode won't air before then, so yay.
Yeah, but people can find out if they go to soulscription.life, they see your calendar,
Yes, they
right?
can
Or
see
do
the
you have
calendar,
okay.
that's correct.
Cool. Alright,
What else do
well,
we
should
have
we
to
wrap it?
yeah, what else do we have
Oh,
anything else about dreaming big or any last thoughts?
hmm. I mean, I think, like, it is human to dream big, and I think it's like, as children, we dream, like, what do we wanna be, and, how do we I think it's healthy, and I think it's beautiful, and I think that life happens along the way, and trauma and experiences that hurt and make us kind of twist everything, and then we get to adulthood, and many of us, myself included, might start to have, like, tip over into magical thinking, and then or like you were describing and I relate as well, like our worth gets wrapped up in the dream. So I think our job as adults, as conscious adults is to do what we can to unravel and unpack the two, like separate the ability to dream big and take out the worth and take out the magical thinking and kind of like purify those dreams and then allow them to fly and then surrender them, offer them.
Yes, I love that. I love the idea of unattachment. Like that's what it is for me ultimately. It's having the dream and not grasping onto it. Just having the dream, kind of like the little dandelion scenes and putting out your hand and blowing them and see where they go and what happens. And also tending the soil of where they might land.
Yes, ma'am,
It's
exactly,
all of it.
doing the
It's
steps,
so
yeah.
duality for me.
Yes, yeah, this is a big one for paradox, agreed,
Yeah,
like
and
this whole
also,
subject,
yeah,
yeah.
that it's whatever it is, whether you are a big dreamer or a small dreamer, everyone's different, and you get to choose what feels good in
Yeah,
that moment, and maybe there's times in your life where you're, like, feeling expansive and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I can do all these things," and you're really calling it in, and then maybe there's other times where there's contraction and, going
totally
inward
true.
and not doing anything big outward,
You
and
know what? And that reminds me, like when tragedy strikes, often, like where we have to caregive at a really high level, like to a small child or an older parent or a loved one or ourselves, like I feel like those moments, it's really okay to let the dreams fucking go and just be where you're at. I think especially then, if I look back in my own life, like I just want to have a lot of compassion for that, phase of life. And it's okay. Yeah, a dream can just be like some rest.
mm. All right. Beautiful. Well, all right. Well, let's close it out with our daily dubs. So, my win, I'm going to say that I am bragging that I and that we, myself and my husband, actually, no, this is going to be about me. I was able to really stay in my power and not give away my power to people this past weekend that were at our house. And by that, I mean, there was some moments where I really wanted to kind of lose control and speak my mind. And instead, I was able to talk to myself, work with myself about why I was feeling it. And if now, how I would feel if I had that conversation and said those things right now versus, maybe if I let the emotion settle a little bit, really think about what I want to say with a more attention and intention and share it at a different time. And that for me is huge because I feel like I've undulated back and forth between being super outspoken and saying everything right then, right there, kind of uncensored, versus holding it all in and not saying anything because you don't want to upset anyone or hurt anyone's feelings. And so I feel like I'm really finding my balance with that and speaking my truth. And so I'm bragging about that. And my wow, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for my support system and for all of the friendships, all of the family members, everyone that has contributed to my life in multiple ways. I was going to start off just by saying like the ones that fan my flame, but I know that those challenging relationships have also really shaped me and helped me to grow and see things in a different way and really even do some internal investigation about different triggers. And so I just want to say that I'm really grateful for everyone in my life and all the roles that they have played.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful, and I think it's huge sign of growth, both of those things. Wow, that you, like, really checked in with yourself, and I know because we spoke, like, that beforehand, we were really intentional going into this weekend about, like, holding on to your center and, like, not losing yourself one way or the other, not shutting down and not losing control, and that's, like, seriously incredible, and then having such appreciation and gratitude, not just for the people who upright you and love you and, like, your cheerleaders, but also, like, the ones that challenge you, that's fucking big. That's awesome. And actually, my wish, in a way, it's inspired a little bit by your preparation for the weekend because my wish is definitely for my two May babies who are turning 17 today and 13 tomorrow. Oh my goodness, because we're recording this May 11. My wishes is especially for them, just like launching them into their next phase, just that they may be surrounded with love and support, internal and external, as they navigate this new year for themselves. And may they also just really experience joy and love and fun and all the good things. And in addition, this was the inspiration that you gave me. Like I'm also including in that wish that my own self-centered regulation, inner knowing, inner rootedness remains so as I continue to parent them and work with them. So that is my wish.
So beautiful. Yay. Thank you all for joining us today. Please like, subscribe, DM us, share this podcast if you can think of anyone that could benefit from all of these tools, techniques, and stories. We would love to grow our brighter community, our brighter bees, with all the people that vibrate at this frequency.
Yes. Yes, yes, absolutely. So we even have a website where you can give us your email if you're not already on our email list. We don't spam, we don't bombard. We just give you a little hello every other week. We would love to hear from you. If you have any of your own experiences to share on this topic, please. We love, love, love when people reach out to us. You can reach out to us through social media, personally, email, text, any way you want.
All right. That's all. Until next time, may your day be brighter.
We love you. Bye.